Dibs. I want to share what I've learned about Mission Editor on DCS World. One of the first things you want to do is download Notepad++. You're going to edit a file from your Mission Editor, so you'll be able to see the developer information in DCS World. Okay, with Notepad++ open, whatever your drive is that you downloaded DCS World in. For me, it's E drive, so it's E Program Files, Eagle Dynamics, DCS World, Mission Editor, missioneditor.lua. With missioneditor.lua open, look for the line that looks like this. Options, add command codes to tooltip equals false. What we need to do is change this false to true. So it's options and command codes to tooltip equals true. Then save the document. You should get a window about administrator mode. Agree to launch and save the file, and then launch DCS World. Now you should go into DCS options on the home screen. Click the Controls tab and mouse over to any selection under the keyboard bindings. You will see additional information about each switch, knob, or anything you can control here. It says Cockpit ID number followed by down and another number. These numbers are used to create clickable actions for the cockpit and Mission Editor. It can be used to turn a switch on that is normally started in the off position and vice versa. I got the idea for this example from a Dish Doggy YouTube video on X commands. So with the Huey helicopter, we're going to click battery in a cold aircraft and we can hear the low rotor RPM warning. We can start a mission with the low rotor RPM sound on or off if you want to. It can be annoying, especially if you're new to the aircraft and don't know how to silence the alarm. In Mission Editor, let's place a Huey in a parking spot cold and dark. Let's play through the mission and you'll see what I mean. Let's start the mission and then click on the battery switch located in the upper console. You can now hear the alarm. Let's find the low rotor RPM silence switch located in the middle of the center console. Click it to silence the alarm. Then hover over it and remember what the switch is called. In this case, it's called the low RPM warning switch. Now we hit escape, then adjust controls. We search for low RPM warning switch. When it comes up, we mouse over the keyboard bindings and you'll see Cockpit ID 3 down 3022. With Notepad++, open your drive that you downloaded DCS into. Go to Program Files, Eagle Dynamics, DCS World, Mods, Aircraft, UH1H, Cockpit, Scripts, Clickable Data.lua. There are a lot of words and numbers that don't mean much yet. Scroll down to about a quarter of the document. You'll notice a change in format and easier to read text. On the left side of the page are words like bat switcher PTR inside of brackets. That is the element name, bat switcher PTR, and the ID is a number you use to keep track of that element, so it can be turned off. You will also notice that on the right side of the screen an entire line is in parentheses. At the end of this line is something like device commands button 1, 219. All we are looking for is a number by itself after the last comma, the 219. So now that you have the argument number, we can take the element name and argument number to the Mission Editor. X Cockpit, highlight element. Under actions, we have ID, we're going to put 1. Give this input a number to keep track of it. Then under that we have element name. We're putting bat switcher PTR, which we copied from the clickable data, and then we have box size 0. Start a new trigger, and under Actions click X Cockpit Argument in Range. Argument 219, which is the number we just got from the clickable data Lua. Min 0. I start with 0, and if it doesn't do what I want, then I use 1. Max 0. Whatever the min is, I do the same. Under Actions, let's get rid of the highlight over the battery button once it's clicked. X Cockpit Remove Highlight. ID 1 is the number from Cockpit Highlight Element ID number. Should look like this. Note, if you're working with a rotary type switch rather than a typical switch, then you need totally different numbers. For this purpose, we are working with a standard switch. We'll go over with rotary type switch later. At last, we come to where the computer turns off the switch. X Cockpit Perform Clickable Action. Cockpit Device 3. The cockpit ID that you got from the keyboard bindings when you were hovering over the point. Command 3022. This number is generally in the 3000 range. Value 0 or 1, depending on if you want the switch starting on or off. Now let's go over the program again. Everything looks good, so let's run it. Now we see there's a highlight around the battery switch. When we flip the switch, the highlight goes away and we don't hear the low RPM warning anymore. So that's it for those cockpit actions. Let's talk about highlight a point. There's only two real numbers that they're looking for here to move this box around. That is the Y and Z coordinates of the highlighted square. In your mission editor, let's do this. Under Actions, create the following. Cockpit highlight point. ID is number 2. That's the following number used on the cockpit highlight element. For that one you used 1. This time we're using 2. If you were going to make another one, you'd use 3. Okay, so now the X forward aft 0. I don't change this number. I can't figure out what it does. Y up down. Move the number up down to move the highlight around. If you want to go up, then you got to click down. If you want to go down, you click up. Z, right, left, 0. Same thing. If you want to move it around, right to left is opposite. Right is left, left is right. Okay, then box dim, X, 0.1. Box dim Y, 0.1. Box dim Z, 0.1. So we move the number up and down to make the space in between the highlight larger or less. And that's it. Now you're able to move that highlight around the RPM gauge or whatever you want to signal to the player what you're looking for them to do. Let's see how the highlight looks when we don't have an input in there. We leave it at zeros, and then we'll look at it again after we change the numbers to go around the gauge. Here we can see the highlight is in the windshield. Let's go and change the numbers so we can put it around this N1 gauge, I believe it is. Okay, here we'll put negative 0.7, and then 0.08. Play through. Okay, and now you can see it's around the N1 gauge. Let's talk about rotary type switches. They're different because they have multiple positions to turn to. X cockpit argument in range 219, min max 00. That's what we had before. We're going to make a new one, cockpit argument in range 218, and then we're going to have a minimum of 0.29 and a maximum of 0.31. Okay, now we're going to see what it does. Changing the min to 0.39 and max to 0.41 will now make the dial turn to another selection. Under actions, create the following: set command, command 816. All I know about this is that it toggles on and off the active pause. So if you're creating a mission and you need to explain something to the pilot, you can stop their aircraft and talk. Then you use X set command again to have them fly again. Now that was a lot of stuff we just went over. I hope this information opens up a whole new world for your mission editor programming. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Hopefully it'll help somebody.